They were married for more than 7 decades, but had been destined for each other since childhood, according to one of Queen Elizabeth's bridesmaids.
I think she fell in love when she was 13. I mean, God, he was good looking. You know, he was a sort of Viking god. He never looked at anybody else, ever. And I think he really, truly has been a rock.
The couple married in Westminster Abbey on November the 20th, 1947. For the rest of his life, Prince Philip was a near constant presence at the Queen's side. He gave a rare insight into life behind palace walls when celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
I think that the main lesson that we've learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when things get difficult. And you can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.
If this companionship came at a professional cost, it was one Prince Philip was prepared to pay.
Just to have been there all the time behind her and ready to have sacrificed his life. He did it too, sacrificed his life, because I think he would have loved to have gone on in the Navy and really made a career of that. So he sacrificed too. And so I think it's made for a wonderfully solid marriage.
The Queen and Lieutenant Mountbatten met before the Second World War when he was a young naval cadet.
His #1 job from the word go has been to, quote, support the Queen. Everything he does is in support of the Queen. It's just been one of the great royal romances, I think, of history. People talk about Victoria and Albert as a phrase which trips off the tongue, and I have no doubt that in years to come people will talk about Elizabeth and Philip in exactly the same way.
Famous for his energy, the Duke's health inevitably deteriorated as he headed into old age. The royal family Christmas was disrupted in 2011 when Philip had to be taken to hospital for minor heart surgery. 5 months later, during the Queen's Diamond Jubilee celebrations, Philip had to go to hospital again, this time with a bladder infection. Family came and went, and within days Philip was well enough to return home, but not to return immediately to his public duties. In the spring of 2017, Prince Philip effectively announced his retirement, saying he would give up official royal duties. A year and a half later, he was involved in a car crash, raising questions about whether he should be driving at the age of 97. Then, public appearances were reserved for special occasions, such as Lady Gabriella Windsor's wedding in May 2019. Prince Philip had been patron or president of some 800 charities, including the WWF. He was a renowned environmental campaigner. He also had his own royal heritage, being born into the Greek and Danish royal families, but he renounced those titles when he took British citizenship in 1947. So what of his role in the British monarchy?
I think a pivotal point because he was the head of the family. He was it's his responsibility as a father to be that, and he does that extremely well.
Would it have been difficult for him, always in public, to be taking a back seat to his wife?
I would have thought that anybody who has that responsibility will find it, I would say, taxing. But when you have this whole concept in your blood, and you keep your sense of humor and your sense of dignity, then you carry it out beautifully.
And one thing Prince Philip certainly had was a sense of humour and a tendency to make gaffes. On a trip to Australia in 2002, he asked an Aboriginal leader, "Do you still throw spears at each other?" And when meeting the Obamas in 2009, a reference to world leaders. Prince Philip, serviceman, campaigner, great-grandfather, and a beloved husband.
CNN's Anna Stewart is live outside of Buckingham Palace for us at this hour, where I would imagine people are starting to make their way to Buckingham Palace as you know, people often do as a way of paying their respects. What are you seeing there this morning? Or actually, I should say this afternoon in London.
We are already beginning to see some people coming out to Buckingham Palace to see what's going on. The news, of course, only came out really within the last hour. You can see the flag is flying at half-mast over. He leaves behind a nation in mourning. His wife, the Queen, 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. You can expect the next few days for everyone to remember Prince Philip, his passions for life, his military career, his extraordinary upbringing. There's lots more to come in the story of Prince Philip.
Right, Anna Stewart, thank you very much. Stand by for us there. Joining us now, Max Foster, also with us, CNN royal commentator Kate Williams. And Kate, you know, 99 years old, Prince Philip, in so many ways, the center or a center of that family, but also a bridge to a different world era. I mean, his brother, the deposed king of Greece, just a different imperial era in the entire world. This is a moment in history.
It is a moment in history, and Prince Philip, yes, of course, born in 1921, had to flee from Greece because the Greek monarchy was under threat. It was deposed. His family was thought to be under threat as well. And Prince Philip, he was born just a few years after World War I, and of course served in World War II, and he served so bravely in World War II. And so many of those who served in World War II, they are no longer with us. We have lost so many veterans. And the Queen herself also served in World War II. And every time she is with veterans, she's just so sad. And here she is, her own beloved husband. They wrote to each other throughout World War II. He was devoted on the side of the Allies. They had this wartime correspondence. And as soon as the war was over, they got married. It really is the end of an era. It is Prince Philip was a man who saw nearly all of the 20th century and all the 21st century so far. So everything has changed: technology, the world, travel. He is our longest serving consort, the longest married monarch, 73 years. It is so sad that he's died just a few months short of his 100th birthday, and a man who, above all, devoted service first to the monarchy and to the country and to his causes.
You know, Max, as Kate just touched on, his devotion there to the monarchy, to the Queen, his wife. We know he was pivotal for her, as you pointed out in your piece, especially when it came to certain decision makings. But he was also a key part of the royal family in terms of the actual family sense. You mentioned the fact that obviously the family would have been notified before word went out to the public of his passing. And Max, I couldn't help but notice you said, of course, Harry would have been notified, even though he's in California. There's been much made of the relationship between Harry and his grandparents, especially in the last several weeks. Can you just put into perspective for us how integral Prince Philip was in those conversations, in keeping the family together or trying to bridge the gaps there?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Harry there, because you'll remember that after that Oprah interview, he went out of his way to mention to Oprah afterwards that the race comment regarding his unborn son at the time wasn't in reference to the Queen or Philip. So the Queen and Philip are on a different level for this family. They are the patriarch, the matriarch of the family. The Queen is head of state, head of the armed forces. So out front, she is the leader. Behind the scenes, Philip was very much in control, would make key decisions about where his children would go to school, for example. He would bang heads together. I'm sure he was involved in conversations behind the scenes about the Sussexes leaving their royal roles, for example. It's interesting when you met him, you've got to adjust to this now, haven't you? It's so hard to imagine. As Kate was saying, he was married for more than 70 years. It's extraordinary, and he was in our lives for that period of time. But he was a very dominant figure. He made his own decisions, and his staff really had no control over him. He would wander through Buckingham Palace doing exactly as he wished, and I think it was very difficult for him to adjust to playing second fiddle to the Queen. And I think they frankly came to a decision very early on that he would lead on big family decisions, lead behind the scenes, while she led out front and in public. And he found his own groove, if you like, his own role, his own purpose. And that's really the sacrifice that he made, but also the contribution too.
Kate, talk to me about legacy for the family and for the kingdom.
There is such a great legacy, and Prince Philip he gave a great legacy of service, and all of his charities. I mean, we just think He retired in 2017. I mean, really, it's incredible to think how much he did, how long he was going for. And I think what Prince Philip really has left is a legacy that's very hard to live up to. I mean, he was completely devoted to the monarchy.